Welcome to Roadie Wellness, where we explore all things health and self-care. Whether you're seeking mental clarity, physical fitness, or insight from students like you, we've got you covered. Welcome back to the Roadie Wellness Podcast. I'm Olivia, and I am here with Mary, the former Health and Wellness Chair and current Vice President of Member Education on the Pan-Hellenic Council, and also with Victoria, the current Health and Wellness Chair on the Pan-Hellenic Council. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about body image. It's such an important topic, especially among college students. So to start us off, why are you guys so passionate about body image issues and spreading awareness?
I think for me, growing up, this has always just been an issue specifically in myself. Obviously, I feel like anyone can kind of relate to it, but I feel like as we grow up and with social media and stuff like that, it's hard to feel comfortable and confident in your body. And so when I was trying to kind of figure out like my place on campus, I ran for the position that Victoria currently has. And one of the main things that I wanted to focus on was body image and body positivity, because I feel like we all can relate to how that feels.
Especially like for us being in a sorority, I feel like it's very important to remember that we're around these wonderful women, but also to put ourselves first and focus on our body. And
Yeah, especially on like social media and with society, it can always push that narrative of comparing yourself to other women. Like I feel like society always pushes women into competition with each other, and that's obviously not great for body image issues, and focusing on lifting others up and practicing self-care is always important. So
yeah, definitely.
what are some causes of bad body image, do you think? Whether it's like from personal experience, some research that you've done in your position.
I would say probably a big thing is like, obviously we just talked about social media, but kind of that comparison that you were mentioning with social media, you always get the highlight reel. Like I feel like that's a very common quote, is like you see the highlight reel of people's lives and not really the behind the scenes. With that comes, me and Victoria have talked about it before, but like editing pictures. I feel like a lot of the things we see online aren't true representation of what a female or male body should look like in real life. When you come to college, you have a whole new sense of life. Like you have a whole new what you're eating, like your environment. That also comes with the standard, like you've heard like the freshman 15, like the gym life that people kind of get accumulated to when they come here.
I agree. Also, especially when you come to college, you have such freedom that people don't really understand it quite yet. You make your own schedule, you're responsible for yourself, but people can't grasp that. And when these kind of issues arise, they don't know how to get themselves out of it or handle it as best as they can, and they kind of feel like they don't have direction and feel lonely sometimes because of this comparison that we frequently see. So, yeah.
You mentioned gym culture and fad diets and stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, especially with men, I've been seeing recently that they've been out, like, just going to the gym a ridiculous amount, because just like the gym bro culture is also huge in itself. And there's a lot of steroid use that we see, because in social media you see so many men who you cannot be skinny, you can't have like no body fat, which is crazy to me. So I think we've seen that a lot with men. And then on the other side of it, with women, it's just you have to be thin, you have to be curvy at the same time for some reason. It's like, it's not manageable, and people still can't grasp that. It's not real. It's not real, and it will never be, in my opinion, so.
And that goes off of what you were saying about social media and people editing their photos and making themselves look like something they don't in real life, and perpetuating like an unrealistic expectation or an unrealistic look, kind
100%,
of.
yeah.
I feel like growing up, I don't know, I'm talking from like a woman point of view, but for males too, obviously with what Victoria was saying about like the gym, we're taught, how you were saying, to like be perceived rather than like who we are. That's just set in us from the beginning. You have to look a certain way, you have to present yourself a certain way in order to kind of be successful, if that makes sense. And so for me, I feel like something that I feel is, like the more put together I am, the better day that I'm going to have, if that makes sense. Like if I'm having a bad hair day, it's like, oh, well, that's that. Do you know what I mean?
There goes
like,
my entire day.
Yeah.
Like, it's ruined because of my hair.
We're also taught growing up, have your nails done. Do you know what I mean? Just like little things like that in reality don't matter and don't show who you are as a person. I feel like that's always more important than who you actually are.
Yeah, I agree completely. it dictates your entire day, the way you dress, the way you are perceived by people. It affects how you present yourself to people, the way you look. Like, being a woman, we know that we're kind of structured to think the way we look will get us farther than the way we are. So it's nothing past who I am as a person. It's more so just what I look like.
Yes, definitely. And like you were saying, people put a lot of emphasis on looking pretty rather than like being actually qualified for the job or something like that. So
Exactly. Because sometimes it feels like I could have so much to me and who I am as a character, but if I look not how another woman looks, and they'll get the job over me by 1,000%, which is so sad to think that, like, that's what matters, not who I am as a person.
So moving on, why should people care about improving their body image?
Your body image affects, like, every other portion of your life, which sounds terrible, but I feel like it's so true.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
Like, with what we were saying before, how you perceived, or, like, your confidence. And then also, like, it could lead to low self-esteem or mental health issues such as, like, anxiety or depression, eating disorders, like, stuff like that.
I guess, like, body image is, like, the mental picture you have of your own body with, like, attitudes and feelings about how you look and how other people perceive you. I think it's important to have a healthy view. You view your body should be healthy, not deteriorating. And I think people confuse the definitions between, like, caring about your image but also not caring about it, I guess. There's, like, two different variations, because, of course, like, being confident matters so much, but also, like, taking care of your body for the wrong reasons could also be an issue. I'm an avid watcher of Love Island. I quite love it, but studies show that the more reality TV a girl watches, the more likely she is to find appearance important, which is so true. I mean, especially when I watch reality TV, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I remember even when I was like, I was 15 or something when that show was
We all wanted to look just like them.
I wanted to have a huge butt and like a small waist. But again, that is literally not real, especially with my body type. I've come to realize that, like, that's just not going to happen, and I need to learn how to be healthy with my body and give the right nutrients it needs, but also have a good mindset regarding that as well.
Yeah.
So.
And then going back to the social media aspect of it, 7 out of 10 girls feel significantly better after unfollowing toxic beauty advice on social media. And I feel like with our generation and how, like, social media is such a big part of it, especially influencers. Like, this day and age, like, everyone that I follow on TikTok is an influencer, and they have this perfect life that's so unrealistic from anyone else who's alive on the planet. Like, they're traveling and they get all this free stuff, but also, like, the way that they look just isn't how a person looks. And so last year I got the chance to do this body positivity and social media presentation for different sorority chapters, and one of the things that we did was we had them go through, like, everyone who they followed on TikTok specifically. I think it was TikTok and Instagram, and we had them dictate, like, oh, does this influencer, does this social media star make me feel better about myself or worse about myself? And often it was worse, because, like Vic was saying, the way that these people look and the lifestyle they live is just so unattainable and unrealistic for every person, like every other person.
Also, people don't really realize sometimes that the ads that they do aren't real. Like, they want money from those ads. They're getting paid to do that. And the products that they're presenting aren't beneficial towards really anything, to be quite frank. So it's very interesting to see how people can dictate a lot with people's perception of their body. Because, like, recently I was, like, I've been struggling with acne, having my skin be clear, because, you know, who doesn't want clear skin? Like, that's just, it's such a obtainable thing. Like, I would like to have clear skin. But I saw this ad, and it was this girl, like, saying, this is the best thing. Like, when you sleep in it overnight, your pores are magically gone. I'm like, what? What does that even mean? So it's very, like, it's confusing, because for me, I'm like, okay, well, obviously that she's getting paid to say that, so obviously it's not real. But then, like, for a 12-year-old girl, she's not going to know that, you know? So it's very, it's confusing sometimes, especially for young girls, which I was her once. So, you know, you don't know the difference. So, yeah.
Especially when that's all you grow up with.
Yeah.
That's
That's
like
all
your
we've-
reality.
That's all I've ever known. Like, I've had a phone since I was, like, 12.
Oh my God, yeah, I should not have had a phone at that age. Like, literally, like, that's all we know. That's our generation, and it's just, like, honestly getting worse, because it's, like, I don't know.
How do you think that body image also, like, affects mental health?
I think that body image affects mental health because, again, it's the way that you perceive yourself as well as how people perceive you. So it's important to have a good mental health relationship with body image that helps it grow, not so much like takes it back. Because, again, like we talked about, the effects of having a poor view of yourself is like anxiety, depression, everything like that.
I think at the end of the day, too, regardless of, like, how many friends you have or your support system or how many sorority or fraternity sisters or brothers you have, at the end of the day, the only person that you have is you. So if you don't like your body or your mind, like, that's who you're stuck with for the rest of your life. So I think it's super important not only to be comfortable in our bodies, but also you want to be comfortable with your mind, too, in your head. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I think people now, I mean, even I do sometimes, like, if I'm not feeling great about myself, the first thing I'll sometimes do is just completely erase that feeling, which is not healthy. You should be able to just, like, say, hey, I'm not okay right now, and maybe I just need to sit in silence for 10 minutes, no phone, anything, and just be in that feeling of, I'm not really liking this right now, and that's okay. And I think it's important for people who feel that way to just realize, hey, I'm feeling this way. I'm going to take a moment just to be in that moment of not feeling great, because it's okay, and not so much move on to the next thing too fast.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Continuing on a personal note, what are some things about your journey towards like a positive body image that you feel is important to share?
For me personally, I think just understanding that my mind plays a lot of what's going on in my body too, and like the things that I put in do matter, and like it's sad for me to see so many young girls not eat because they want to look skinny, but that's not that you can't do that. That's just so mentally draining. 1, 2, it's not good for your body. It's not going to make you any skinnier, and it's just some tips that I have, I guess, is just make sure you're getting the right nutrients in you and make sure that you're balancing mind and body. And like if you need help, there are so many women out there who are there to help you and want to help you. So
Yeah. I feel like for me, and this is obviously something I feel like that as we continue to grow up is just something that kind of comes with it. Like the journey's never over, if that makes sense. Last time we talked about how our parents, or like specifically our moms, would be like, oh, I look so ugly, or I look so fat. And you hear that from such a young age. It's kind of engraved in you to always like look at yourself and say negative things. But something I like to think about, and I have a really hard time with not saying like negative things about myself, but I guess something I like to do is say, I would never say this to my best friend. I would never say that to you. I would never like look at you and be like, oh, you don't look good. Do you know what I mean? So kind of keeping that in mind. And also, I don't know, I know the type of person I am outside of what I look like, and I think that obviously is way more important.
Yeah, 100%.
So kind of focusing on that, like you know who you are, like you know yourself best.
And if you don't, take the time to. You're alone most of the time, sometimes, I'd hope, I don't know. And take the time to, like, I know journaling is like, oh, just journal. No, it actually is worth it. I mean, sometimes I literally will record my own little voice memos of me just talking. And sometimes I'll stay silent for like 5 minutes just to like be there and like actually talk about my feelings if you're not comfortable with talking about them with someone else. Just like make sure to like actually get your thoughts out and really process what's going on and if there is something going on. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, those are some great tips. I especially like what you said, Mary, about that rule of thumb. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself type of thing. And also just replacing those negative self-talk habits with positive affirmations.
It sounds so silly, but like once you actually try it, it changes your mind. Like your mindset is everything at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we're so conditioned to focus on like the physical aspect of ourselves. If we think we're having a bad hair day, like, oh, well, my hair doesn't look great, but you can still be like, I still woke up with a lot of energy. I'm still going to go see my friend today. You know, I still did great on that test yesterday. And you can still focus on those good aspects of yourself too. Like, oh, I have a great outfit on today. Like, I love what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
But just balancing it out is always a good practice to have.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
And to wrap the podcast up, I know you guys were talking about the activity you were doing about social media previously, and I would love if you could share some of those questions that you talked about in that presentation.
Yeah, definitely. So what we kind of did for this activity was we did it for 2 sororities. So we had them all get out their phones and then look through their most used social media. So whether that was Instagram or TikTok, I feel like for me personally, it's probably TikTok.
Yeah, me too.
And then, so you would like look at who you're following, kind of assess each influencer or person and kind of ask, how does this affect my personal body image? Do you compare your life to others based on their social media posts? How might social media have a negative impact on your body image? And then figuring out like, oh, when I look at this account, like what emotions am I feeling? Am I feeling motivated or am I feeling kind of jealous? Do you know what I mean? Like kind of
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
so kind of figuring out those feelings. And then based on those answers, if they were negative or positive. If they were negative, you would consider unfollowing that person. And obviously follow Instagram accounts that make you happy and uplift you, not just Instagram, but like any social media.
Thank you so much for walking us through that and
Yeah, definitely.
for joining us today about this talk about body image.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much.
Before we wrap up, a quick reminder that all information shared in today's podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Thank you for listening to another episode of Roadie Wellness. If you like what you heard today, tune in every Tuesday on all podcast platforms for more. If you want to stay up to date on events and healthcare tips, please follow us at URI Health Promotions on Instagram. And if you have any ideas for future podcast episodes or more social media content that you'd like to see, please feel free to DM us or email us. Until next time, take care and stay healthy.